very powerful. So let's spend next hour or so in trying to understand what are emotions and how we can handle them. What are the strategies that we currently use to handle, and what is it that we could possibly use to handle? Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge by thanking you for taking out time and joining the session today. Would just like to check if there was anybody who was there for Shilpa's session last week. Any one of you attended Shilpa's session last week? You could type in the chat or you could unmute and speak. Last week we had session on SOPs of beating stress and becoming happier by Shilpa. Oh, hi Ritu. Great. Ritu, is there anything that you picked up from that session which you tried during the last 1 week and which worked for you?
Just give me a minute.
Sure.
I will just share that with you.
Yeah. And while Ritu is looking up, if there are others who would like to respond to that, it will be helpful. You could at least say whether you attended or didn't attend. If you attended, you could type A. If you didn't attend, maybe you can type NA. Last week's session. Satya, okay. So Satya, the recording is available in the YouTube, so you could possibly, yes, Kanika. Kanika, any takeaways from the last week's session? Partha, okay. Okay, Partha, get you. Okay, so we'll let Ritu come in once she's ready, and meanwhile we will move on. Please grab a notepad because we will do some journaling activity today, and it's also helpful to take notes. Please, when we will also be doing a body scan meditation, so preferable if you log in to the session by your desktop or laptop and try out whatever I am saying before you believe in it. And please make sure you are in a secluded spot where you're not disturbed for next an hour or so. Kanika, you feel like revising the SOPs once more? Maybe let Ritu do that. I think she's looking up her notes, and then if she doesn't, then we will take it up as a in the last part. Okay, get you.
Ashish, can we take it up in the last part? But then I'll figure out. We don't want to, waste time unnecessarily.
All right, fair enough. Thanks for offering to share, Ritu. So friends, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, comments, and if the answer to any of these is in the affirmative, please type Y in the chat box. I wish I could handle stress better. I wish I could cut down my negative emotions. I don't see any yes. So if I wish I could have better control over my reactions. I wish I could improve the quality of my sleep. And I wish I had fewer more.
Ashish, you are muted.
Sorry, thanks for pointing that out. So if the answer to any of these is yes, please type in the chat box. Thanks for your responses. I see that. So moving on, it's very important for us to listen to our emotions. As I was sharing earlier, emotions are energy and motion. They are very, very powerful. So it's very important for us to listen to them, take guidance. Many times we get frustrated with the way we are feeling, but it's important to understand what is it that emotion is trying to convey to us, paying attention to those emotions, and let them help us navigate through our life's journey. They are our GPS. they can help us guide. But many of us are not familiar with listening to our emotions, handling our emotions, because we have not been taught in schools and colleges. Even the new education policy doesn't seem to have much around this. Um, so it's very important to understand, become familiar with what emotions are and what is the kind of energy that they represent. And I would like to share this energy scale with you, which was developed by Dr. David Hawkins. And it's a very, very powerful scale. And here, there is energy against the emotions has been mapped, and the cutoff is about 200 points. And as per Dr. David Hawkins, 99% of the humanity is living below 200, So we are ashamed, we feel guilty, apathy, we have grief, fear, desire, anger. And it is important to be aware of the energy levels associated with this, because sometimes we get trapped and we are going on in this cycle. And sometimes we think an anger is a high energy level emotion, but actually it is a low level energy emotion. And peace we think is low energy, but peace is actually very high energy. So once we become familiar with this, then we can manage these emotions. Let's look at shame. One of the things which one of the common responses, when we talk about these emotions is that I am not ashamed, or I am not shameful, or I have not done anything. There is a denial of the feeling of shame. But the fact is that most of us would have experienced shame some point of time in our life or the other. And we will see that as we move forward. Let's also understand why this is the lowest energy emotion. If you can share with me some of the phrases that come to your mind or some of the images that come to your mind when you think of the word shame. You could think of children. When children feel ashamed, what do? What are the images that come to your mind, or what are the words that come to your mind? It's very important. You could either unmute yourself and speak, or you could share in the chat box. What are the emotions or images, phrases that come to your mind when you think of the word shame, or when you think of children who are ashamed?
Should I share something, Ashish?
Yeah, Ritu, please go on.
You want to, you want the emotional reaction, or you want the visible reaction?
So both, give me both.
A child is ashamed, will not look you in the eye, that is one.
Okay.
Will have his face down, probably the energy levels will be so low that, the shoulders start drooping.
Yeah.
And the light goes out of the eyes, so there is
Yeah.
so
So
cool.
very, very accurately described, Ritu. And when you are saying that the face is down, the other word to describe that would be hang your face down. Your face is hanging down in shame. That's what we say. The face is hanging down. And hanging down is very similar to being hanged. So when you are feeling ashamed, or you are shameful of something that you have done, it is almost as if you wish you did not exist. And you wish that it's better, maybe I am not alive, or I'm not there. And that is why shame, the feeling of shame, is also very closely linked to the suicides that are taking place. And that is one of the reasons I thought of having this session today, because there is so much of disturbance that is happening around, and most of the times we are not acknowledging the emotions. And shame is the lowest energy one. And I'm sure if I were to ask uh, uh, each one of you, and it's normal. The first time when I heard about being shameful or ashamed, no, I thought, no, I have nothing to be ashamed about. But when I thought deeply, there were things I was ashamed about, and then it reflects in self-esteem. It reflects in many other ways that we behave. And the fact is that uh, we feel that we are not good enough, and that is one of the basic causes of shame. Partha, the numbers is a measurement of the energy level. So anything below 200 is low energy, where it is contracted. Anything above 200 is expanded energy, where you start feeling confident and you start moving up. So that's a very good comment, Partha. Essentially, it is about our moving up from a low energy state to a high energy state. So let us understand shame a little bit better. Uh, so what are we ashamed about? I'm not going to ask you to name this, come out and share, but take a minute. This is an exercise that we are going to do, and take a minute to think, what are you ashamed about? And the answers may not be uh, immediate, and it's okay if they are not immediate. All the answers may not come in this one session, but it is important that we ask this question, because many a times we are not ready to face what is there, and that is one of the things I realized about emotions. It is very important for us to understand them and then accept them wholeheartedly. And that is the difference in dealing with emotions. Ashamed of thoughts, we are ashamed of actions. What are we ashamed about? And there is one thing which is uh, at the root cause of our shame, which is not good enough. I am not tall enough, I am not intelligent enough, I am not fair enough, thin enough, smart enough. And this is not just ordinary mortals like us who are facing this. Recently, there was a video of Vidya Balan which had gone viral, in which she was saying that till about she was about 39, 40 years of age, she was not very comfortable with her body, and she was thinking that she is not thin enough or this and that. And the way those thoughts tortured her led to so many hormonal problems. And it is only when she started accepting herself, her body as it is, did all those hormonal problems started disappearing, and she became perfectly fine with that. So, you know, the next thing I would like to ask you is, who thinks that I am not tall enough? And you can share your responses in the chat, or you could unmute and speak. Who thinks that I am not intelligent enough? Who thinks I am not fair enough? Who thinks that? Where is this? Where is all this happening? Is it people telling us, or it is us telling ourselves that we are not good enough? It's all happening in our own minds. 99% of the times, it is us judging ourselves and being ashamed of ourselves. It is not anybody else. It is our own imagination. Very well said, Ritu. And you know what happens when we are judging ourselves and we are ashamed of ourselves? We are in a low energy state, and these are vibrations, which are communicated to everybody around us. We are all vibrational beings, and the other beings also catch these vibrations, and then they respond to us in a similar manner. So if I think I'm not intelligent enough, the vibrations that will go out are that I am not intelligent enough, and then the experiences that I will attract to myself will be those which will justify my not being intelligent enough. So that is why it is very important to understand which emotional state I am in and what are the vibrations I am sending out, and what are the kind of experiences I am drawing to myself. What does this do? When I uh, am ashamed or I am fearful, I'm not able to act to my potential. I'm not able to live up to my full potential. And I'm just playing out the images or judgments that I have formed about myself in my own mind. And that is a tragedy. Not being able to live up to our full potential is a tragedy. So, what should we do? Let's look at that. Normally, what we do in dealing with emotions is to suppress them. We don't recognize them. And if at all we recognize, we judge that this is not good enough, this is not how I should be thinking, and we push it down. And pushing down or suppressing emotions can have very dire consequences. Most of the diseases that we have are psychosomatic diseases, and when we push the emotions down, they manifest in some form or the other of diseases. The next thing that we try and do is distract our mind. But the problem with distracting our mind is that it's temporary. Whether we distract ourselves by watching a movie or having a drink or whatever else, it's a temporary solution. So it doesn't help us much. Or we challenge the thought that it is true, not true, etc. So this is how we normally deal with this situation, where we wish that we didn't have this feeling. We try to wish it away, or we become judgmental and feel that I should not be feeling envious, I should not be feeling angry, or it's very wrong on my part to be having this, and then we judge ourselves that it is bad. But a better way to deal with emotions is to, uh, rather than struggle with them, is to understand what is the message that the emotions are trying to convey to us. It is not something to be afraid of. It is not something to run away from, but to understand. So let's take the example of fear as an emotion. Very, very basic emotion. And we are fearful of many things. But interestingly, when we were a child, there were only two fears we had. There are only two fears which are inborn in a child. One is of loud noises, loud sound. And the second one is of fear of heights. Every other fear that we have is a self-acquired fear. Would you like to name some of the fears that we have in the chat box? It may not necessarily be your fears. It could be fears of your colleagues. It could be fears of your family members. What are the fears we have? While you are coming up with your responses, I'd like to share a few. It is fear of my life, fear to fail, fearful of being judged. That's what Ritu said. Fearful of failure, being judged, being rejected, fear of rejection, fear of hurting myself, fear of losing my life, fear of losing my income. There are many, many fears. And the good part, or the part which is important about that we need to realize, Shivashish says fear of uncertainties around us. Shivashi's uncertainties is a very interesting thing. Maybe you can just ask me a question towards the end about uncertainties and I'll respond to that. And the thing about fear is it gives us a choice, What do I do? If I'm fearful, what do I do? Normally, if I'm acting out of my impulse, maybe I'll crouch, or I'll contract, or I'll hide behind something. But then, you would have seen this ad which says "Dar ke aage jeet hai." So the other choice is I could decide that I'll face my fear, I'll conquer my fear, and I'll win it. So the choice is either you hide behind it or you go ahead and win it and conquer it. You know, any great accomplishment, you look at climbing Mount Everest or any other accomplishment, you need to put yourself out there, you know. Uh, and in that process, we make ourselves vulnerable, but it is fine, you know. Choosing a life of of certainty, which is safe, is good, but also limiting our potential. So that's a choice. I'm not sitting in judgment here of what one should do, whether choose certainty and safety or choose uncertainty and progress. But the point I'm trying to make is there is an option we have got. And when we try and confront our fears and we try and go ahead, we conquer them fears, there is much progress to be made. And there are many, many examples of people around us who have faced their fears, they have conquered their fears, and have gone on to make great progress in their lives. Another emotion I would like to talk about is anger. Anger is also sending us some messages. What are the messages which anger is sending us? It is about us being right or wrong. It is about our rights. It's about our sense of fairness being violated. So if I feel that this was due to me, but it didn't happen, or somebody acted unfairly, I get very, very angry, or one gets very, very angry. And then, then the body says that, I have been treated unfairly, and then I need to act. And the whole reaction that happens in the body is about prompting us to act, to fight for ourselves, to fight for others against whom the wrong has been done, or, whatever action that is appropriate, or shout, you may shout when you are angry. So how do we know that we have got angry? It is by paying attention to what is happening in our body. Our heart starts pumping faster. Our fists clench. There is tightening of my forehead. There is a tightening I may feel in my chest area. There are many, many ways in which anger gets expressed in our body. And when we tune in to the sensations, that the anger is creating in my body, then I can handle anger better. And this is one study I would like to share with you, which was done by University of Iowa, in which they had two groups of people playing a deck of cards. There were two deck of cards. One was red colored, another one was blue colored. And the red colored deck, anybody who picked up to play red colored deck would have lost the game. But the players, when they were choosing, they didn't realize that this is kind of pitted against them. So when they were playing, after about 80 rounds of playing the cards, they could figure out that they're going to lose. But the interesting thing is that after about 40 or 50 rounds, they had a hunch that something is wrong with the red deck of cards, but they couldn't kind of pinpoint what it is. But the best part about this study was, as early as the 10th round, the body started giving, their sweat glands got activated and their palms were sweating, So, as early as 10th round, the body could detect that there is something wrong. So there is immense amount of intelligence which is there in our body, and by paying attention to the signals that our body gives, we can not only manage our emotions better, we can also manage the situations around us better. So with that, I would like to come to this part of the session where we're going to talk about some strategies which we can use to handle our emotions. First one is to pay attention. Like in this study that I discussed with you, if we are tuned on to paying attention to what's happening in our body, we can understand what are the emotions which are coming. Whether I am feeling stressed, I am feeling angry, I'm feeling irritable. We pay attention, and when we pay attention, we are able to identify the emotion. And once we are able to identify and become aware of the emotion, then we can judge whether it is, we become aware of our judgments, we can accept it, identify it, and choice. We will pay a little bit of more attention to that. So paying attention to what occurs to us in this on a moment to moment basis, being aware of our thoughts, being aware of our sensations, being aware of our feelings. This is what paying attention is. And when we start paying attention, we are able to identify these emotions, feelings, sensations. And when we are able to identify, we also become aware whether I am judging them as good or bad. So if I am feeling angry, there is a guilt associated with it. I should not be feeling angry, or I should not be feeling stressed. But rather than judge our emotion, once we start becoming aware of what's happening, what am I being judgmental about my emotions, then we start accepting them without putting labels. So if I'm feeling angry, I will just be neutral about it and say that, realize that, okay, I'm angry, but, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And, I just accept it rather than struggle or fight with it. And also realize that I'm not the emotion or the thought. Sometimes people say, I am sad. But you are not sad. You are experiencing sadness. So when we have that observer, thought process, when we step back and look at our emotions, I am angry. No, I'm not angry. I'm experiencing anger in my body. And when we have that third person thinking, then we are able to manage it. Because if I am anger, then how can I manage myself? But if my body is experiencing anger, then I'm in a better position to manage and regulate my anger. So rather than identify ourselves with that particular emotion, we step back and we look at it from a third person perspective, and with that we develop our ability to handle the emotions better. And the next one is, like I talked about earlier, not letting a state take over and choose between impulse and action, and this is also very closely linked to attention. It is only when we are paying attention to how we are feeling can we make a choice. If I'm not paying attention, then it's like a wave. So think of a wave in the sea. If you're a good surfer, you will be able to ride the wave. But if you're not a good surfer, as a surfer, you will just drown in the wave. So these emotions are also like waves, and then they rise and then they fall. So either we could just stand at the beach and look at the wave rise and fall and realize that this is what it happens, or we become skillful in managing them. So both stepping back and observing or riding it skillfully, both the ways are fine as long as we realize what we are doing. So that's a choice we need to make, and that choice is based in attention, it is based in awareness, and when we are accepting it, that's how it happens. So rather than so a better way to deal with the emotions is to observe them, take them less seriously, and let them pass. Not struggle with them, but like I was saying, step back and look at them. So coming to that part of the session where we pay attention to whatever emotions are. Emotions talk to us. It's only we need to pay attention. So if we are feeling stressed, or if we are feeling angry, or if we are feeling fearful, uh, if you just step back and pay attention and ask yourself this question: why am I feeling fearful, angry, anxious, sad, depressed? uh, Sooner than later, you will have answers coming up. And even if the answers are not coming up immediately, don't worry, they will. It may take time, but they will definitely come up. Pay attention to what these sensations are telling you, because every emotion has got corresponding sensations in the body. And we are going to soon do a body scan meditation, where which is a very powerful way of paying attention to what's happening in the body, uh, and reading the signals. What is my body telling me? Because when I'm feeling sad, there is a particular way my body feels. Like Ritu was sharing that if I'm ashamed, my head would be hanging low. I would wish I was not there. Similarly, when I'm angry, there is a certain way my body would behave. There are sensations. There are different body parts where these tensions and sensations accumulate. So shoulder area, scalp area, back area, there are places where you can feel those stresses and strains. In the heart area, we can feel those blockages, not the physical biological blockages, but emotional blockages. So when we pay attention to them, the body talks to us, and we get to hear over a period of time. So with that backdrop, I'll pause here, and I'm happy to take any questions or comments, and then we will dive into the body scan exercise, which will take about 20 minutes. And you could do that sitting or lying down, either ways that you prefer, but make sure you're not disturbed during that next 20 minutes or so. But before we start the practice, we'll be happy to take any questions or comments. You could unmute and speak, or type your comments or questions in the chat box. Okay. Satya, good question. Let's take this up after the body scan. Good. Thanks, Kanika. Okay. So, friends, please settle down for a practice of body scan, and we will take questions and comments towards the end of the session. As I mentioned earlier, you could do this sitting in your chair or lying down. In case you are sitting, have your back and neck in a straight line. With your feet on the ground. Keep your eyes and mouth gently closed. Your hands could be resting gently in your lap or at your side. Take several long, slow, deep breaths. Breathing in fully and exhaling slowly. Breathe in through your nose and exhale through your nose or mouth. Feel your stomach expand on an inhale and relax and let go as you exhale. Begin to let go of the noises around you. Begin to shift your attention from outside to inside yourself. If you are distracted by the sounds in the room, simply notice this and bring your attention back to breathing. Now, slowly bring your attention down to your feet and begin observing sensations in your feet. You might want to wiggle your toes a little, feeling your toes against the floor. Just notice without judgment. Perhaps you don't feel anything at all, and that is fine too. Just allow yourself to feel the sensation of not feeling anything. When you are ready, move your attention up to your ankles, calves, knees, and thighs. Observe these sensations you are experiencing throughout your legs. If your mind begins to wander during this exercise, gently notice this without judgment and bring your mind back to noticing the sensations in your legs. If you notice any discomfort, pain, or stiffness, don't judge this. Simply notice it Observe how all sensations rise and fall, shift and change moment to moment. Notice how no sensation is permanent. Just observe and allow the sensations to be in the moment just as they are. Breathe in, breathe out. On your next out breath, move to the sensations in your lower back and pelvis area, softening and releasing as you breathe in and breathe out. Slowly move your attention up to mid back and upper back. Become curious about the sensations here. You may become aware of sensations in the muscle, temperature, or points of contact with furniture or the bed. With each out breath, you may let go of tension you are carrying and then very gently shift your focus to the stomach and all the internal organs there. Perhaps you notice the feeling of clothing, the process of digestion, or the belly rising or falling with each breath. If you notice opinions arising about these areas, gently let these go and return to noticing sensations. As you continue to breathe, bring your awareness to the chest and heart region and notice your heartbeat. Observe how the chest rises during the inhale and how the chest falls during the exhale. Let go of any judgments that may arise. On the next out breath, shift the focus to your hands and fingertips. See if you can channel your breathing into and out of this area as if you are breathing in and out from your hands. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the sensations in your hands. On the next out breath, shift the focus and bring your awareness up into your arms. Observe the sensations or lack of sensations that may be occurring there. You might notice some difference between the left arm and the right arm. No need to judge this. As you exhale, you may experience the arms soften and release tensions. Continue to breathe and shift focus to the neck, shoulder, and throat region. This is an area where we often have tension. Be with the sensations here. It could be tightness, rigidity. You may notice the shoulders moving along with the breath. Let go of any thoughts or stories you are telling about this area. As you breathe, you may feel tension rolling off your shoulders. On the next out breath, shift your focus and direct your attention to the scalp, head, and face. Observe all the sensations there. Notice the movement of air as you breathe into or out of the nostrils. As you exhale, you might notice the softening of any tension you may be holding. And now let your body be covered in one go as a whole by your attention. Bring into your awareness the top of your head down to the bottom of your toes and from your toes right up to the head. Feel the gentle rhythm of the breath as it moves through the body. As we come to the end of this exercise, take a full deep breath, taking in all the energy of this practice. Exhale fully, and when you are ready, open your eyes gently and return your attention to the present moment. As you become fully alert and awake, consider setting the intention that this practice of building awareness will benefit everyone you come in contact with today. Continue breathing and stay with the feeling for a couple of seconds. And then we'll move to the last part of the session. How many of you friends live in multi-storied buildings? Thank you, Ruchi. If you live in a multi-storied building, please type MS in the chat box. Ruchi, Pradnya, Farzeen, all live in multi-storied buildings. Ritu. So if you're staying in a multi-storied building, do you normally take stairs to go up to your flat or you take a lift? If you take a lift, please type lift. So Farzeen takes a lift. Pradnya also takes a lift. Ritu takes stairs. Nilofer takes a lift. Very good. So if normally we all take lift to move from the lowest floor to the highest floor in a multi-storied building, and to move from the lowest energy emotion, which is shame, to high energy emotions like peace, joy, enlightenment, you could take stairs or could take a lift. In case you want to take a lift and move straight up, there is one thing that you could do, which is practice gratitude. Being grateful for what we have in our lives is one sure short way to move your energy up, to deal with emotions of fear, anxiety, grief, sadness, depression. Gratitude is an antidote to all these negative emotions. You can't be grateful and be angry. You can't be grateful and be anxious. You can't be grateful and fearful. Once you are grateful for the things that you have got in your life, you almost immediately shift to the high energy level. And what I would like you to do now is to take a couple of minutes, grab your pen and pencil, pen and paper, and write down a couple of things that you are grateful for in your life. And I'll give you some prompts. I am truly blessed to have what? Let the thoughts come up and you could answer them and also answer why you are grateful for that. Try writing one or two things. It could be I'm truly blessed to have clean air, pure air to breathe. Truly blessed to have clean drinking water to drink, which is a challenge for many people. Many things in our lives we take for granted, but when we are grateful for them, we start witnessing a shift in our energy. Then write, I am so happy and grateful for what. Then write the reason. Don't think too much. Whatever comes to your mind first, pen that down. I'm truly grateful for what, because with all my heart, thank you for what, because I am so glad that. Please take a minute or so and complete your sentences. And once you have finished writing your gratitude statements, you could type VG, vitamin G, in the chat box. Once you have completed your gratitude statements, please type VG in the chat box. Thanks, Ruchi. Friends, you could continue with this practice. We have come to the end of this session. Thanks, Pradnya. Thanks, Nilofer. And I am grateful to you for taking out time and joining the session. And if you have found value in the session, I would like to request you to do something, which is to post feedback in our WhatsApp group. Only if you found value in the session today, please post your feedback on the WhatsApp group, whichever group you are part of, how the session was, whether it was good, bad, ugly. Don't worry too much. Thank you, Ruchi. Don't worry too much about what you write. As long as you write something in the group, it will motivate more people to come and get value from these sessions. I'll request Kanika to share the LinkedIn page, a link. We have recently launched our LinkedIn page link, so please go and like that. Thank you, Pradnya. And also go and look us up on the Facebook page, Mindful Living. Manas regularly posts nice quotations and other stuff there. Please share it and spread the word about mindful living in your circles. So that's the LinkedIn page link. So friends, now that brings us to the close of the session. Happy to take any questions or comments that you may have.